Hey, welcome back. I am Rainna and I welcome you to Reflect with Me. This is a journal-style microcast where I reflect on family, faith, and everything in between. I will talk about things that may be unique to me or entirely relatable to you. You can join in on the discussion by emailing the show at reflectingwithrainna@gmail.com. Or you can even head to reflectingwithrainna.com where you will find a handy-dandy contact form you can subscribe to further posts or episodes, and also you can leave a voice message and I can include it into the show. It could be feedback, it could be a story of your own, a relatable situation of your own, whatever. Feel free to leave that message. All you have to do, from what I understand, is hit record, and the website does everything else. So it is entry 11, and I will be talking about wheat thoughts, rotten apples, and making proactive life changes. So let's get started. So like I said, entry 11, and I want to get started out with this segment with scripture from Psalms 26 of David. He says, this is chapter 26, verses 4 through 5. Had a brain freeze. All right, so it says, I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers or evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. So this has been broken down to put the definitions in. So pretty much like David is saying, I will not sit, dwell, inhabit, abide, or remain with vain, deceitful, lying, useless people. Neither will I come or go or enter with dissemblers or concealers or pretenders. I have hated or set against the congregation, the company, the assembly, the multitude of evildoers, of wicked doers. And I will not sit or dwell or abide with the wicked, the ungodly, the immoral, the criminal, or the guilty of breaking the law. So what I just read to you was the definitions of those key words in the Psalms 26 verses 4 through 5, because it breaks it down and makes it more relatable to things that we experience in our everyday life. Like, we are called to, surround ourselves with like-minded people. But something that I have noticed is my struggle to do so with social media, because social media, when I joined Twitter in 2012, it looks entirely different now in 2021. almost 10 years later, it has gotten it's been flipped upside down. The amount of connection you make with others is no longer controlled by the people on the platform. It's controlled by the people who own the platform. So shelf this topic, and I'm going to tell you a little story, and then we will revisit it, okay? So keep Psalms 26, chapter 26, verses 4 through 5, right there in your mind. I'm going to tell you my little story of this week. Lent had started on February 17th, and I have actually never participated in Lent, nor have I attended a church that did. It's kind of a new concept. I've heard about it. I've known of family or friends, like in-laws, that participate, stuff like that. But I had never openly or actively felt inspired to do so until this year. I felt inspired by the concept to give up something that was not edifying, something that was not instructive or informative in any way, something that does not improve my mind or my character. And that was social media. I chose to put down social media for at least 40 days. And I have felt the Lord actually leading me to do this all of 2020. And into 2021, I actually quit Facebooking in the beginning of 2020, and I felt a huge relief but I continue to be active on Twitter and Instagram. I made my first Twitter account, like I said, back in 2012, and I have been active on Twitter in some capacity this entire time. So my experience on Twitter has actually changed, like I was saying, a lot since 2012. The political climate of recent has actually heated it up and changed it entirely from what the Twitter that I used to know. And it's actually, I feel like, poisoned and divided people. It doesn't even matter if you're not political, because people will hate you and condemn you for not being political. And you will also be hated and condemned for being political. And you will also be hated and condemned for just any reasons that somebody might feel like for that day, because Twitter and social media has turned into a rag doll that people just beat up. It's like the little voodoo doll that people stick sticks in, like on the cartoons growing up and whatever weird shows that you watch, because I also know nothing about voodoo outside of the creepy little doll that people stick things in. So, you know, it's like that. It's like the punching bag, you know? People just go on there to punch at people they don't even know, and without a second thought or regard. So, yeah, it's turned into quite a cesspool. And I feel like we've been manipulated to be that way, honestly. Because it's not even being ran. Half the time you don't even know if you're talking to a real person. You could be talking to a bot. And there are algorithms now that control entirely like what we see and how we see it and when we see it. Pornographic content is allowed, but asking questions or sharing unpopular opinions are not allowed. And bots now carry on, like I said, conversations en masse and also attack you in armies. I have not personally had any of this happen to me, but I've witnessed it so many times. Like an entire conversation this person had, they thought they were having with this open dialogue with another person, ended up just being a bot. Because then they started to realize, wait a minute, they're not sounding very like normal now. Like some of their speech was off. It was very weird. And they ended up being a bot. So some of the bots are, like I said, are so well developed that, you know, you can be tricked into engaging with them, or a whole Twitter bot army can just be turned to mudsling you and to harass you. It's actually gotten quite toxic. So, putting all of that craziness aside, from a person level and a Christian level, the thing I struggle with the most would have to be reading the thoughts and opinions of hundreds and even thousands of people within minutes. We were not meant to process the thoughts of so many people in such a short amount of time. And it reminds me of that movie called Bruce Almighty. And it was about a guy who complained about God too often, and then it is given almighty powers to teach him how difficult it actually is to run the world. And in the movie, the main character starts hearing the prayers and thoughts of everyone that he comes in contact with, and even while he's sleeping and everything, and it just becomes so overwhelming. It starts driving him nuts. It starts coming into his human mind, and he can't handle it at all. Social media honestly feels just like this to me. Even people will go, well, it's because you're following the wrong people. No, that's not the case anymore. Because the way they have made it, if somebody you're following likes something that somebody they're following posts, it automatically gets thrown into your timeline. So you literally have no control over what you see anymore, because it's constantly being thrown in front of your face regardless of whether or not you follow these people at all. It's gotten super out of control. And plus, like I said, the amount of like adult content that is just overlooked. There was a little boy, there was actually a pedophile had posted some awful illegal content on a youth, and Twitter had to be like publicly held accountable for weeks to even have them contemplate removing this. But yet they will ban anybody who might have a different worldview, a different political stance, or a different medical stance. But yet we will allow this. It's just so crazy, the amount of mud and muckiness and confusion that is now put into this platform, where I honestly believe most humans want to be good people. They want to spread love. They want to have harmony. They want to have these well-meaning, engaging conversations. And you can just tell that there's a sector of whoever is running platforms like this that don't want that at all, honestly. And the creators of like the bots, they don't want this at all. They want chaos. They want confusion. They want hate. They want yelling. They want depression. They want fighting. They want perversion. It's just gone crazy. It's gone nuts. So these social media platforms have just turned more and more into wrestling matches and shouting boxes, and there's actually nothing social about them anymore. And like I said, people be like, oh, well, maybe you should just follow more Christians. No, honestly, I have seen more Christians be toxic and fight with each other than I have secular people, honestly. I have been treated with more respect from secular people than Christian people. Because in Christianity, it's just so weird. I had no idea until I was in like Christian Twitter, and I didn't even know that there's a hashtag called hashtag weird Christian Twitter, and now I know why, because it's weird. You have denominations now having proverbial peeing contests on which denomination is true, which is wrong, what one does something worse. Oh, when you die, you go to heaven. No, when you die, you go on the ground. Oh, no, you're supposed to celebrate the Sabbath. No, you're not supposed to celebrate the Sabbath. Oh, you're under the law. No, you're no longer under the law. Oh, you can only read the New Testament. No, you're supposed to read all of it. Like, there is just so many people fighting and bickering, all the way down to, are you doing the right kind of devotional? Are you not doing devotionals even worth it? You should be doing what my church does. And it's just gotten so off the mark that it is no longer edifying. I don't see how it's edifying to any Christian to be on social media, to be honest, but that's just my own experience. It has gotten out of control, and it is actually making us look awful to people who are not Christian. I think, and there's a whole other theology out there that goes, hey, you can be as mean as you want to people, because if you're selected to go to heaven, guess what? You're just going to go there. And if you're not, tough luck. So they have no accountability to their behavior. They think they could just go around and be mean to people because, hey, if they're called to heaven, they're called to heaven. And if they're not, they're not. Whoopity-doo. There's no accountability. No desire to be good to people just for the sake of being good. They just act like it's a free-for-all. They can just go around and whack people on the head and have no repercussions. It's out of control. So I have actually found being in the Christian community on Twitter to be absolutely the opposite of edifying. So I'm just being honest. That is part of my show. You might relate to it, you might not. So I've spent 2 years now in the Christian Twitter community, and it has been a nightmare. I have seen some things. So yeah, these social media platforms have not remained social. They have remained absolutely the opposite about them. It has felt more and more like a pair of handcuffs, sapping me from any positivity or creativity that I may have been able to save aside from myself. And the noise from avatars on the internet creates this fog. It creates confusion, which is no surprise to me because the devil is the author of confusion. So I honestly feel like, yeah, I don't see God in Twitter anymore. I don't see God in the people who are supposed to be representing God on Twitter anymore. I just don't. And more people are yelling at the world on the internet than ever before. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel about not being part of it for at least 40 days. And I'm actually cataloging how I feel as the process goes on. So that is my 100% honest thing. So that ties in with Psalms 26 verses 4-5. We might not physically be hanging out with these people on Twitter, but we are dwelling with them. We are remaining with them with vain. There's lying going on, deceitfulness, uselessness. You know, if there's nothing edifying coming out of it, if you feel worse for being on social media than you feel uplifted or a betterment of your character, it's time to pull the plug. Find an ulterior route, an ulterior way to glorify God through your words. It's become a weight, a cuffs, like definitely handcuffs. So keeping with my theme put that topic on the shelf, and we're moving on to one apple. My next segment, this will tie it all in, so just follow along. All right, I am titling this segment One Apple because I know you've had to have heard the saying, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. And in that regard, it only takes allowing one weed thought from some random person on social media to ruin your mind's garden. Just as it takes just one rotten apple to ruin the whole bunch. And you're probably like, Rainna, that's not real. That's just some annoying cliche statement that's been around forever. No, it's real. There's scientific facts to back up that statement, okay? And I'm going to share them with you. Okay, so one bad apple does indeed spoil the whole bunch because as apples and fruits like apples and pears produce a gaseous hormone when they ripen called ethylene, which is, among other things, a ripening agent. When we store our fruits together, the ethylene produced in each one it prods the others around it to ripen further and vice versa. And for those who love avocados and hate to wait for their little non-ripened avocado to ripen, this article I found on mentalfloss.com, I put in the show notes, actually shares a tip that you could stick it in a paper bag with an apple overnight and your avocado will ripen faster. So there's that, in case you love avocados and hate to wait for them to ripen. So the riper a piece of fruit is, the more ethylene it produces. So an overripe fruit will give off even more ethylene, eventually leading to a concentration of the gas that's enough to overripen all the fruit. Given the right conditions and enough time, one apple can actually push all the fruit around it to ripen and eventually all rot at the same time. So it's a thing, okay? So I just wanted to share my personal experience with social media, my choice to set it down. Whether you observe Lent or not, you can't scoff at setting something that's not edifying down for 40 days. Like, nothing bad could come from not poisoning your brain for 40 days, okay? So, in my last episode, I shared my testimony, and I've given up, like, once I invited God into my life and into my heart, and I gave my life over to the Lord, and I was baptized in the name of Jesus Christ, I have literally not felt like drinking or cussing or like it is a switch, like a switch. My little God switch was flipped on. So I have to keep making sure what I ingest, whether it's, through the media I intake or the people I'm around or the social media I intake, the imagery I intake. It's a real thing, and people might not want to believe that it is because their fandom won't allow them to, or they're not convicted of it yet, because God convicts us each of stuff on the same time. Somebody can sit down and enjoy a bottle of wine and they will enjoy it and they will share it with like 6 people. I would want that whole bottle of wine to be mine. I could not, there was no regulator on me. So for me, I can't handle it, but for someone else, they can. So God convicts us on different things. And right now, God is saying, hey, Rainna, this social media is a toilet and we need to close the lid. And let's close it for 40 days. And let's see where we're at after that. So if you are feeling called to cut something out of your life, now's the time to do it. There's no better time than now. Okay? So that is what I've decided to do. And when we choose to make those proactive choices in our life, we actually should feel a shift inside of us. We should feel a change. When we put a stop to allowing our minds to be in the dumping grounds for others, we should feel that positive change. And when we allow ourselves to seek affirmation from our Father in heaven instead of avatars on the internet, we should indeed feel that change, a change for the better. So I want to thank you for stopping by today's entry with Reflecting with Rainna. And also, I should add that since I've decided to take a social media break, the best way to contact me would be through my website, contact form at reflectingwithrainna.com, or actually emailing the show at reflectingwithrainna@gmail.com. And like I said, using that voice message option if you feel inclined to do so. And I have swapped out, hopefully, an alternative to social media that can be, and I hope will be, edifying and also bring glory to God. And I have decided to make a prayer group on the Pray Together app to help elevate each other and in prayer. So the Pray Together app is available on the Google Android store and is also available on the Apple store. I put the links to both of those in my show notes. And this is how the app is described. It says the Pray Together app is a prayer app that is unique to any prayer app in the App Store. Created for closeness, this app will empower you to remember the prayer requests of your family and friends, members of your small group and ministries, and it will help you meet those needs better than ever. With our 4 primary functions, prayer will become a discipline that you enjoy. See and experience the love of power of God through the daily prayers that expand into daily devotionals, personal prayer cards that you can organize into decks, synchronized prayers that unify friends and family to pray at the same time, and a prayer wall of answered prayers and prayer requests that reveal how amazing God is. This is the Pray Together app, and it is also ad-free, and it is also completely private, and you can share with those who you care and see the greatness of God. So I spent my time praying for those on my Twitter timeline and on social media. And so although my tweeting has stopped, my praying shouldn't have to stop. So you can join my prayer group that I've created to see how this hopefully is more edifying than social media. And also you can most likely be one of the first people there because it's just me right now. And you can look it up on the Pray Together app under the group option. You can find it. I made it public, called Stilts in the group finder, and you can join from there. And I named it Stilts because stilts helped lift us up, and just like we need to help lift each other's up in prayer. So thank you for joining me for entry 11. I hope to see you soon on entry 12. God bless.